5 Minutes Funnier is back. Hi, and welcome to 5 Minutes Funnier, the comedy how-to, and I am your host, Jimmy England, here again with more tips, tricks, and hacks on being a better comedian. Now, I don't know how you write your material. I basically do it two ways. Usually, I try and think about a theme, something I want to write about, and write jokes along that line. And generally, I try to think of a premise. So sometimes I have one, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it'll just develop out of the jokes that I'm writing. And I've been doing this so long that that works for me. But I don't attempt to put anything into any particular order at this particular moment in time. It's a good idea to put things in an order, but I don't know where all I'm going to go yet. So that would have me going back and forth a lot. So I just get the jokes out in any order, and I will write usually over a week to 2 weeks, depending on how I feel about the material, whether I'm getting some strong jokes or whether I've got some filler jokes there that I'm just trying to... A filler joke can be very useful because it can help you launch into something else. It may point you in another direction. So I get those out of my system, I write them down, and then after about a week to 2 weeks, I will pull it all together and have a look at it and start to think about what order to put the jokes into, how they have a logical flow together. Now, I have an act that I do, my normal thing, and it's broken into areas. So I will do my intro jokes, and then I'll follow it into getting old, because that's touched on in my intro jokes. And then I will go into being married, because I touch on being married in the getting older part. Then the logical place to follow married is my kids and grandkids, and after that, pets, because the kids' pet. There's just a certain logical sequence to it, which does two things for me. It makes the jokes flow a little better, and the other thing is, it makes it a lot easier for me to know where I have to go. Now, when I do start to put the jokes together in sequence, again, I'm trying to figure out the logical flow of how this is going to go, so I'm not talking about one thing at the beginning and then a totally unrelated thing right afterwards and back to something that relates to the first. You just want it to go in an order. It'll make it that much easier to memorize. This is where you have to make some critical decisions, or at least I do, and that is what jokes are going to make it into that progression, and what jokes, even if they're funny, can't go in because they're orphans. They don't have any relationship to anything else. And this is something comedians have to wrestle with all the time. You may write a good joke, but if you don't have a good place to put it, it's not going to work, and you need to leave it out of your act. The act of putting the jokes together will also spawn new material. This is where you start to see relationships between your jokes, and then you can realize, well, I need a transition from here to here, and by golly, the transition I come up with is a great transition that I never would have got unless I was thinking about from here to here and not just trying to pick a joke out of space, if you will. So that's pretty important. Leaving out a joke can be as important as putting one in. And that's really what this kind of boils down to this week. To go through your act and say to yourself, is this joke getting in the way of this joke? And I have had that happen. I have written stuff. I did one on makeup, and there was a couple of jokes that were in there that were funny, but there was a better flow. I realized this part at the beginning latched into this part in the middle, to this part, and it worked better here if I just took those jokes out, even though they got some laughs. This is really about addition by subtraction. You can be a funnier comedian by doing fewer jokes, as long as they all work together and they're totally hilarious. Well, totally hilarious. I believe that was the game plan from the start, wasn't it? Anyway, that's it for this episode. And so get out there, write some jokes, and then throw some of them away. That's really, I think, the bottom line here. I'm Jimmy England for 5 Minutes Funnier. Please subscribe. Please share us with your friends. And let me hear from you about what tips and things you have for when you do writing and organizing your jokes. I'd love to hear it. Take care, everybody, and stay funny.